A jaguar is standing in the middle of a river, and it owns both coasts of this continent from where it's standing. Walk north from here, and you eventually hit the Caribbean. Walk south, and you hit the Pacific. This is the one stretch of the Americas narrow enough and wild enough for a single jaguar's territory to touch both oceans. Nowhere else on Earth can this animal do that. It watches the water for a moment, then moves on into the trees. Somewhere behind those same trees, the Pan-American Highway, nearly 30,000 kilometers connecting Alaska to the bottom of Argentina, simply stops. No bridge, no detour. The pavement ends, and for over 100 kilometers there is nothing but this jungle. It is the only point on the entire route no engineer has ever crossed. Before this video ends, we're going to a specific spot inside this jungle where more people have vanished without a trace than anywhere else in this forest. Subscribe to DocWild 4K and turn on the bell. Every week we go somewhere most cameras never reach. Tell us in the comments what country you're watching from. Now let's go in. This is the Darien Gap. There's a snake here whose venom became one of the most important tools in modern heart medicine. There's a frog here, smaller than your fingernail, carrying enough toxin to kill 10 grown adults. And there's a bird here whose beak is one of the most efficient cooling systems ever measured in any animal on Earth. Around 3 million years ago, this strip of land rose out of the ocean and connected North and South America for the first time in their geological history. Before that, they were separate continents, each evolving alone for tens of millions of years. When the land bridge formed, one of the largest migration events in the history of biology began. Species moving north, species moving south, in what scientists call the Great American Biotic Interchange. The Darien sat right at the point of contact, the densest jungle on the entire corridor and the final filter. Only animals genuinely built for equatorial rainforest made it through. That jaguar we opened with is the clearest result. It's the largest cat in the Americas, over 100 kilograms in big individuals, with proportionally the strongest bite of any big cat alive, strong enough to punch through a turtle's shell or a caiman's skull, something almost no other cat can manage. It kills mostly at night, by ambush, with a direct bite to the skull instead of the throat hold most big cats use. And because this corridor is one of the last continuous stretches of forest linking North and South America, it's doing something almost nobody outside conservation biology knows about. It's the genetic bridge holding jaguar populations across 2 continents together. Break this corridor, and the species splits in 2. Its main prey here includes peccaries, deer, and, when the chance presents itself, caimans that come too close to shore. An adult jaguar can drag prey several times its own weight to a safe spot where it can feed without competition from other predators. And while it's fundamentally a solitary animal, females with cubs stay together for close to 2 years, a period in which the mother teaches her young to read the terrain, identify prey tracks, and develop the patience a successful ambush requires. Patience that can mean staying completely still for hours, waiting for the exact right moment. The terrain itself is part of what makes this place so impenetrable. This isn't flat jungle. The Darien and Bodo mountain ranges cross the region with peaks over 1,500 meters, wrapped almost permanently in low cloud that keeps the vegetation soaked year-round. That constant moisture has produced a dense cloud forest loaded with epiphytes, orchids, bromeliads, and mosses covering every available branch, creating a second layer of habitat suspended several meters above the ground with its own community of frogs, insects, and small reptiles that rarely touch the forest floor in their entire lives. On the forest floor, a snake changed how modern medicine understands blood pressure. The fer de lance, Bothrops asper, causes the majority of serious snake bites across Central America. It isn't aggressive by nature. It relies completely on camouflage, lying motionless among dead leaves the exact same color as its own skin, waiting. The danger comes when someone doesn't see it and steps too close. Its venom attacks blood vessels, and the clotting system directly. And in the 1960s, a Brazilian researcher studying a close relative of this snake discovered something nobody expected. The venom contained peptides that blocked a specific enzyme in the human body, the same enzyme responsible for raising blood pressure. That discovery became the chemical foundation for captopril, one of the first drugs in a class now known as ACE inhibitors. And that class of medication is still, today, one of the most widely prescribed treatments in the world for high blood pressure and heart failure. Millions of people alive right now have their blood pressure under control because of a molecule that evolved over millions of years in the venom of a snake most people would only want to avoid stepping on. It hunts mostly at night, detecting prey, small rodents, mainly, through heat-sensing pits located between the eye and the nostril, capable of picking up minimal temperature differences even in total darkness. Along with other pit vipers, it's one of the few snake groups on Earth that builds a thermal image of its surroundings instead of relying on sight alone. Sharing that same forest floor is a tiny frog that solves the same problem, surviving in a world full of predators, a completely different way. Poison dart frogs don't hide their danger. They advertise it. Bright, impossible-to-miss colors, red, blue, gold, orange, because the message isn't camouflage. It's an explicit warning. Eating me will kill you. And every predator that ever tried already learned that lesson. The most dangerous of them all doesn't actually live in the Darien itself. It's found further south on Colombia's Pacific coast, Phyllobates terribilis, whose skin carries enough batrachotoxin to kill 10 adult humans with the right amount of contact. But closely related, equally toxic species do live in this jungle, and the mechanism behind their venom is one of the most fascinating in all of tropical biology. These frogs don't manufacture the poison. They get it from their diet. Ants, mites, and other tiny arthropods containing toxic alkaloids, and concentrate it in specialized skin glands. The same species raised in captivity, fed a different diet, lose their toxicity completely. The venom isn't in their genes. It's in exactly what they eat, in this exact forest. And for generations, certain indigenous communities in the region have known how to use that toxicity without dying in the process, rubbing the tips of hunting darts against the frog's skin, with a knowledge of dosage and handling passed down orally for centuries, long before Western science understood the chemistry behind what they were doing. High in the canopy, a bird with an impossible-looking beak solves a completely different problem. The keel-billed toucan is one of the most striking birds in Central America, with a beak that can reach a third of its total body length, striped in green, orange, blue, and red. For decades, biologists assumed that beak was mainly for reaching fruit on branches too thin to hold the bird's weight. That's part of the answer, but not all of it. The toucan's beak turned out to be one of the most efficient heat regulation systems ever documented in a bird. It's packed with blood vessels close to the surface, and the bird can control blood flow into the beak to release body heat when it's hot and conserve it when temperatures drop, functioning almost like a car radiator, but built from porous bone and keratin. And despite its bulky appearance, the beak is extremely light, an internal structure of spongy bone reinforced with interlocking keratin fibers, a design so efficient that materials engineers have studied it directly as a model for lightweight, high-strength structures in aerospace applications. Sharing that same canopy is a predator many biologists consider the most powerful bird of prey on the planet. The harpy eagle can weigh up to 9 kilograms, with talons about the size of a grizzly bear's claws, genuinely comparable in length to the largest terrestrial predator in North America. It hunts mostly sloths and monkeys, and it does it with a level of aerial precision that's hard to overstate. Flying through dense, closed canopy, between branches and vines, at speeds that would demand near impossible reflexes from almost any other bird that size. When it locks onto a spider monkey or a sloth, the strike is nearly instant. Its grip strong enough to break bone on contact, and the prey rarely gets a chance to react. It's so rare and so dependent on continuous primary forest that its presence anywhere is treated as a direct indicator of that forest's health. Where harpy eagles are breeding, the forest is genuinely intact. Where they disappear, it's usually because the forest already fragmented too much to support them. And below it, moving through the highest branches, is one of its favorite targets. The spider monkey moves through the canopy with a prehensile tail so strong and so precise it functions almost like a fifth limb. It can hang from it completely while using all four hands to feed, or swing between branches several meters apart without ever touching the ground. It lives in groups with a flexible social structure, splitting apart and regrouping constantly through the day depending on where fruit is available, a system primatologists call fission-fusion. And it demands a complex social memory to keep track of who's with whom at any given moment. Let's drop down to the water now, because the Darien isn't just jungle. It's also one of the most important mangrove and estuary systems on the entire Pacific coast of the Americas. On the forest floor below all of this, two large animals move with a slowness that seems to belong to another era entirely. The giant anteater can exceed 2 meters in length, and it doesn't have a single tooth in its entire mouth. Its tongue, coated in sticky saliva, flicks in and out over 100 times a minute. Its front claws are so long and so sharp that it walks on its knuckles just to keep from damaging them on the ground. The same claws it's used in documented encounters to seriously wound and even kill jaguars that attacked without properly calculating the risk. The Baird's tapir is the largest land mammal in the entire region, using a short prehensile trunk to strip leaves and fruit, and it has a relationship with water that's essential to understanding how it moves through this territory. When it feels threatened, it doesn't run overland. It submerges, and it can stay underwater for a surprisingly long time, walking along the riverbed almost as if gravity barely applies to it. Both animals are also forest planters, dispersing seeds from dozens of tree species through their diet in numbers significant enough that their disappearance from an area directly reshapes what that forest looks like generations later. At night, the forest floor and the low canopy belong to animals almost nobody sees. Bullet ants patrol the tree trunks in loose columns, carrying a sting entomologists rank at the very top of the pain scale for insect stings anywhere on Earth. A pain described as pure and electric, lasting up to 24 hours in waves. Wandering spiders, some with legs spanning over 15 centimeters, hunt on foot instead of building webs, moving across leaf litter and low vegetation in search of insects, frogs, and small lizards. And moving silently between them, a click beetle the size of a thumb produces 2 small points of green bioluminescent light near its head, bright enough to read by at close range and used, as far as anyone has determined, mainly to attract mates in a forest where finding another member of your own species in the dark is far from guaranteed. None of this makes headlines. All of it is running, every single night, underneath the same canopy where the jaguar hunts and the harpy eagle sleeps. The American crocodile can exceed 4 meters, and unlike its relative the caiman, it handles salt water easily thanks to specialized glands on its tongue that excrete excess salt. That gives it access to territory no caiman can use: estuaries, mangroves, even open coastal water. In the Darien, it shares the water with the smaller, more numerous spectacled caiman, generally confined to fresh water. Where the river meets the sea, both predators coexist along a precise ecological boundary, the crocodile owning the salt side, the caiman the fresh, with a middle zone where both show up depending on the tide. It also feeds on nearly anything it can overpower near the water's edge: fish, birds, turtles, and occasionally larger mammals that come to drink at the wrong moment. Females dig nests in riverbank soil and guard them fiercely through the incubation period, and hatchlings that make it to the water are already capable swimmers within hours of breaking free of the shell. The Darien's mangroves support something else. one of the most important migratory bird bottlenecks in the entire Western Hemisphere. Millions of birds that breed in North America funnel through this narrow land corridor every year on their way to South America, because geographically they have no other option. It's the only land bridge connecting the two continents. Migratory raptors, shorebirds, and dozens of songbird species converge here in numbers that can reach millions of individuals in a single day during peak season, packed into a corridor that in some places measures only a few kilometers wide. It's, in practical terms, one of the most extreme migratory bottlenecks on the planet. An entire continent's bird migration forced through the same stretch of jungle where today the most dangerous human migration in the Americas is also concentrated. Quick pause, because what's coming next is the part of this jungle almost no nature documentary ever tells you. The actual reason the DARIÉN has become, right now, one of the most dangerous places on the planet for a human being. If this is holding you, subscribe to Doc Wild 4K right now. We go somewhere most cameras never reach every week, and subscribers always see the new ones first. Turn on the bell so you don't miss it. Let's keep going. Because for the past several years, the Darien Gap has stopped being just a blank space on the map. It's become one of the busiest and one of the deadliest migration routes on Earth. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people, entire families, many with young children, walk into this jungle from Colombia, hoping to cross it and reach Panama, as part of a migration route that continues north through Central America. There's no road, no bridge, no phone signal for most of the walk. The crossing takes anywhere from 4 to 10 days, depending on the route and the weather. And the jungle doesn't forgive mistakes. Rivers that need to be crossed can rise within minutes during the rainy season, sweeping away anyone caught in the water. Mudslides on the mountain sections are steep enough that a single slip can mean a fall of dozens of meters. Clean water is scarce, and drinking from the wrong river means illness that days from any medical help can turn fatal. And then there's everything we've already met in this video, now from a different angle. The same fer-de-lance whose venom saves lives in a hospital is, for someone walking at night without proper boots, a very real and constant threat. The same poison frogs that fascinate biologists are a danger to anyone who doesn't recognize them. The same jaguar this species needs to survive is occasionally a predator that crosses paths with exhausted, disoriented people in the middle of the forest. Humanitarian organizations working in the region have documented thousands of deaths in recent years. And the real numbers are almost certainly higher, because many of the people who don't make it simply disappear. The jungle swallows them in the most literal sense possible. No body to find, no way to send word, no way for the family left behind to ever learn what happened. Official figures point to hundreds of thousands of documented crossings in recent years, a number that would have been unthinkable for this jungle just a decade ago. Entire families, including small children and infants, walk into the Darien carrying whatever little they can, hoping the 4 to 10 days on foot will be enough to get them out the other side alive. There's one specific spot within the gap, a particularly treacherous river crossing in a mountainous stretch where several migration routes converge, that guides and survivors have started referring to among themselves as the point where the most people are lost. It doesn't appear under that name on any official map. It's knowledge passed by word of mouth from those who already crossed to those about to try. It's the same kind of jungle that protects the jaguar, that sustains the poison frogs, that gave the world a heart medication. And it's, at the same time, one of the places where more people die each year simply trying to reach the other side. The forest itself isn't empty. The Embera and Wunan peoples have lived in this jungle for centuries, in river communities, with knowledge of the terrain no satellite map can replicate. They know which rivers rise before it even starts raining where they're standing, because the water already rose hours earlier in the mountains. They know which plants heal and which ones kill. That knowledge is exactly the same kind that led to the medicinal use of poison frogs, and it's, in practice, The only reason some of the people crossing this jungle make it out alive, when somewhere along the way they find someone willing to guide them. Here's what I want to leave you with. The DARIÉN isn't dangerous because it's malicious. It's dangerous because it's exactly what it was before any border, any country, any migration route existed. One of the densest, most isolated, most completely indifferent jungles left on the entire American continent. The engineers who built the Pan-American Highway got this far and stopped because any road they tried to cut, the jungle would reclaim within a couple of years. That's not an engineering failure. It's an exact measurement of what this place actually is. The same territory that has protected the jaguar for 3 million years, that keeps producing compounds modern medicine is only beginning to understand, is today the setting for one of the most dangerous human crossings on the planet. Both things are true at the same time, and there's no way to separate them. The jungle didn't choose to become a border. It simply kept being what it always was. And it was human circumstance that suddenly placed it at the center of one of the most urgent stories of our time. Tell me in the comments which of these stuck with you. The snake venom that saves more lives today than it takes. The stretch of highway that could never be built. The jaguar that hunts on 2 different oceans from the same territory. Or the fact that thousands of people cross this jungle every year with no guarantee of reaching the other side. Leave a like if this journey was worth your time. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who's never heard of this place. Until the next one, go somewhere wild. Doc Wild 4K.